Welcome to with Kids with Liz. Welcome to Teaching Kids with Liz, the #1 place on the internet to get help teaching kids at home, homeschooling tips and tricks, as well as home management and organization strategies that work to help save you time and stress. In today's live stream, it's going to be mostly about these next 3 questions that most parents are asking today. First question is going to be, how am I going to teach my child at home while having to work? Question number 2, how do I start teaching my child at home temporarily or transition to long-term homeschooling? Question number 3, how do I organize my life at home with kids so I have more time and less stress? The video today is going to be a live stream, so feel free to put your questions in the comments below, and I will be answering them in sequence. I also have a couple of questions I received ahead of time that I will be answering those. So while you're putting those questions in the comments, if you could please just put #question so that when I'm going through the comments that I can easily identify it from the other comments of people either talking to each other or putting other comments that are not questions. So #questions, and I will go and answer them in just a moment. So before we get started, and while you're answering or putting down your questions, I'm going to first start off by answering #1 topic that most parents are concerned with today, and is how am I going to teach my child at home while having to work? Sorry, I want to make sure that I'm not missing any comments. Perfect. So, how am I going to teach my child at home while having to work? So, #1, first, manage your expectations. It's impossible to teach your child while you are working at the same time. Those are 2 separate jobs. So make yourself a schedule, and when you teach your child and when you work, they have to be at separate times. So managing your expectations of when are you going to be able to have time to teach your child and to work? Is your work flexible enough that you can change around the schedule, or you may need to choose asynchronous learning and teach them later on in the afternoon if you do have to work in the morning time. So managing your expectations and understanding that this is not typical homeschooling. If you are like most parents right now that are having to have your kids at home while you have to work, it's a really hard decision. You're either choosing your family's finances or your child's education, and no family should make that decision. No family should have to make that decision right now. So managing those expectations of what is realistic for you to do is a great start. Also realizing that this is going to be short term, hopefully, and if a couple of weeks or even a couple months of letting your child play and do some electronics won't hurt them in the long run for a temporary amount of time. So even though electronics I don't recommend and are not the answer, some parents, it may be the only option for you, which I completely understand. How can you manage looking at your kids and doing a job with no support? It's nearly impossible. So for those families that are out there right now and are needing to use electronics, I am going to be providing you a list of some really great educational tools that you can be using, that you can just let your kids play with, and maybe it'll help you deal with a little bit of that guilt that you may be feeling of letting them on electronics for so long. So the 3 lists that I'm going to show you in just a moment, it's the best educational apps for kids, best educational Netflix shows for kids, and best educational YouTube channels for kids. I like to use these when I do have to work and I have to set some time aside for myself to do necessary things. And I allow my kids to watch these channels, or I give them that option of watching the educational show or an educational game. And that way I don't necessarily feel like I'm completely neglecting them. They're still being left for an educational opportunity, and it just makes me feel a little bit better. So let me go ahead and start off on sending that to you. Give me just one moment and I will screen share those links for you. There we go. And here, My apologies. This is my first time live streaming, so I apologize if there are a couple of blips. There we go. Okay, so I found this amazing article on Today's Parents, and I highly suggest you take a look. I will be providing a link in the description as well. So at the end of this video, you can go and find that information. So at Today's Parent, it's an age-by-age guide for the best educational apps for kids. Most of these apps I have used with my kids. They are very popular to use. They're very educational. I don't feel guilty about recommending these to any parent that allows their kid to be on it for an extended period of time because they have to. They will be learning at the same time. So this article particularly is great because it separates it by age. So I'm not sure what ages are your children for those of you that are watching, but this article is particularly great because it does break it down. So just to show you a little bit, Preschool Sego Mini World, Khan Academy Kids is great, Montessori Preschool, Puma Preschool ABC Games, Accelerating Your Minds are for early learners, ages 6 to 8, Math Tango, Tabby Learning Primary School. This is a really great one here. I highly recommend it. Tiny Tap Homeschool for Kids. I'm sorry about all these ads. K-Science for Kids Tippy, Epic Kids Books and Videos. This one's is really great if you want to build your library for your kids and help them learning. This is a really great tool to have on an iPad or an iPhone for them to be able to use it themselves and flip through it themselves while you're busy doing something else. Ages 9 to 10, Quick Math, Mental Arithmetic, Hopscotch Programming for Kids, Barefoot World Atlas. This is great. And I'm also going to recommend just using Google Earth for something for the kids to go and explore and look at them, street views, and explore the world. There's lots of amazing information on there. Seek by iNaturalist, Drops for Kids, Babbel, Bonus. These bonus apps are really great as well. Spotify for Kids. This is one of the new ones that I've just recently been introduced to, and I highly just suggest coming on this website and going through all these one by one yourself, and then seeing what you think is best for your child, and then show those apps to your child so that they can decide what is best for them. I would recommend doing this beforehand. So don't do it the day that you need your child to be on these electronics. Do it before, prep them, let them play with it, see how they interact with it. And then when you need them to be on it, you can trust that you can have an hour or 2 hours of time where you feel a little bit less guilty because they are learning and you're doing what you need to do. So that's one guide that I wanted to show you. Another one that I wanted to show you here was the 50 educational Netflix shows. These have changed just my amount of knowledge that I have. Again, I will provide this link in the description for you. So best educational Netflix shows for elementary school kids is Storybots. For those of you that haven't watched Storybots yet, you're missing out. They're super funny. They really make you laugh, and they really value kindness. So this one I would really recommend for you. Brainchild, Booty, Dream Big. This is a great documentary. It shows the world's largest engineering achievements. This one was really cool for me to see. I haven't introduced this one yet to my kids, but I'm very excited to because it looks really great. Earth to Luna, Emily's Wonder Lab, Ghost of the Mountains, Growing Up Wild, If I Were an Animal, Learning Songs by Little Baby Bum. This one's great too. It's great more for preschoolers or early learners. You can also do this in combination with your early morning routine. If this is something you're just looking for an extra resource to complement your homeschooling instead of just allowing your child to watch it freely. So this would also be a great show for those early learners. Magic School Bus, my favorite. I know a lot of people love the Magic School Bus. They have two different versions. They have the old school version. So I'm going to date myself here. They have the old school version and they have the newer version, which is great for kids, I would say 6 and up. Number blocks, Octonauts, early learners, really great team building exercises. or example, sorry. Pocoyoyo, White Flag, Word Party, really, really early learners. They are just super sweet. I loved watching them. I loved watching just the interactions between the characters and how much they help each other. Word Party songs, the Who Was show, the best educational Netflix show for middle school. So I'm not going to go through all of those, but as you can see, this is a great resource to show you all the Netflix shows that I would let my kids binge watch. They are very informative. They're very different than other shows. I'm not going to name any shows because I don't want to bad talk any shows, but other shows that don't provide as much educational value, I don't feel as great about letting my kids binge watch versus these types of shows where binge watching, go ahead. They are learning at every step of the way. So just to give you a little bit of relief on that stress and that pressure to always be teaching them and providing them educational opportunities, this is a great way to do it. The next one is the best educational YouTube channels for kids. So being on YouTube, I've recently learned about all the different ways that or all the different channels that are out there for the different types of kids. So there's channels for early learners, for middle learners, for older learners, university kids, there's homeschooling channels, there's learning at home, there's crafts. If you're looking for great resources for free, YouTube is your way to go for homeschooling support and ideas. So here is on this one for Livewire by Rhonda Bowen. She posted the 21 best educational YouTube channels for kids. I have subscribed to most of these channels. My kids watch a lot of these. These I implement with our homeschooling morning routine. We recently did a lesson on electromagnetics, and there's many of these shows have several episodes on how magnets work and electromagnetics work, and it was such a great way to show them visually how to understand these concepts in ways that I couldn't teach them in a book. So it's a really great tip to use videos to teach your kids or to even occupy them. So here, as you can see, my apologies for the ads. TED Ed, great. It's just like TED Talks except for kids. Really informative stuff, up-to-date information, and really simple to understand. Excuse me. So this website, as you can see, gives you the pros and cons. Free School, great website or great YouTube channel as well that I would recommend. Homeschool Pop, Netflix Junior. So as you can see, there are many different types of resources that you can use to sort of fill in that time that you are having to work, unfortunately, and not be able to pay attention to your kid, which is completely understandable with the circumstances that are happening right now. So those are just some tips right now. I hope you enjoyed those. Lastly, for this question, I want to reassure you that, I just want to reassure you again that even though your kids right now are watching a lot more electronics than you feel that they should be, this is a temporary situation, hopefully, and as you transition into having more of a routine with kids at home and learning at home, and if you do decide to go full-blown homeschooling, it is a process and it does go slowly and you do build up on it slowly, step by step. So be patient, be calm. I would more focus on mental health, your mental health being right now. If you are frustrated and your child is frustrated, take a break, take a step back, reevaluate. If you're yelling or engaging in behaviors like that are not really healthy or not really going to help you in the long run, put a pause, take a step back, just take a little bit of a break. Understand that not only is this hard for you, but your child and everyone else around as well, including the school systems. I'll be honest, I don't know when the schools are going to go back into place, especially here in Ontario. We just recently got news that they are not opening back up yet. So we we need to be a little bit patient for teachers as well as the school board, because this is a difficult situation. I do foresee that if this is how it's going to be from here on out, that the schools will have many more resources available for parents in the situation when you're working from home and having to teach and care for your child. So I think that answers that one. The second question was how to start teaching my child at home temporarily or transition to long-term homeschooling. This is a great question because it hints at a major question that parents are facing. It's having to pull their child out of school at the moment, whether it's because online learning is not working for them, or they just don't feel safe having their child at school, or the school is not open and the regulations right now require the child to be at home. So whatever your situation may be, if it's temporary, like I mentioned before, start small. Focus on one area of learning instead of looking at the whole curriculum. Look at just 1 or 2 goals for the next couple of weeks or months that you want to focus on and go from there. So for example, if you have an early learner and they don't know how to write the alphabet, or they're still learning how to read, or they're still learning how to count, math, these types of math, English, science, these subjects you want to focus on, particularly reading, writing, and math. Those are going to be the ones that they do build on year by year. So ensuring that you're still exposing them to writing and reading and grammar and all those just core topics is a great way to help you feel like you are still making progress, your child is still learning, and to help minimize the amount of stress that you are feeling. If you're coming from a perspective of expecting to do what the teachers are doing right now and replicate that at home, that is not going to work for you. Teachers didn't just automatically start teaching your kids. They work up to it. In Canada, in September, when kids go to school, there's usually a week period where teachers are getting to know the kids, getting to know their learning styles, getting to know, the dynamics. So give yourself that time, as well as teachers give to themselves and their students, to get to know what works, what doesn't work. And then slowly build up on your routine. Add, for early learners, add calendar time, add one subject at a time, little by little. And eventually, in a month's time or in a week's time, you will have more solid learning opportunities and more positive experiences because you've taken it slowly. You can't expect any child to go from learning in a school environment to either learning online 100% and be able to cope perfectly, or even learning at home. Even my own children who I've been homeschooling for a long time, if I was to change them out of this environment completely, it would not be conducive for their mental state, and they wouldn't know how to do. So be patient with yourself, with your kids at home, in learning this process of changing from school learning to at-home learning. Let's go into the next question. Also, another thing you can do is play educational games. I can show you a couple games in just a minute, of games that you can feel guilt-free about playing, allowing your kids to play, and they're still going to learn a lot of stuff while doing it. Another tip that you can do if it's temporary is get your kid a book that on a specific topic that they really like, and find activities within there. Reading, writing, math, learning about one specific topic for the next couple of weeks is just a really great way of keeping the mind focused, keeping the mind busy, as well as learning something new and exercising the muscle. I think that's most important right now for a lot of children learning at home. So don't give up entirely, but give them just a little bit of something so that when they do go back to school, it won't be such a hard transition. So moving on to the third question, how do I organize my life at home with kids so I have more time and less stress? So number one, first you're going to want to sit down and write what your priorities are for you and your family, for your family dynamics. What works? What do you need to be happy? What do your kids need to be happy? What does your spouse need to be happy? What needs to be done? What are necessities and what are just wants? what can be dropped and what can be pushed to the bottom of the pile. And once you sort of figure out your priorities, then write yourself a goal. If you're going from transitioning your child to being at home all the time, give yourself small goals, and easy, achievable, attainable goals. That way you feel a little bit good that you are making some progress, as well as you get to see some progress day to day. Number 2, figure out for the next 6 months or even 3 months what your main goals are. Keep it simple. The big tip about homeschooling and staying organized and keeping life a little bit less stressed and more organized is to keep it simple. Don't give yourself an entire list of to-do lists and goals that you really won't be able to achieve. Give yourself attainable goals that are simple and that you can clearly see observably with measurements that you can see that you're making gains towards those, whether it be with your children, whether it be with your work, whether it be in your home life. Keeping it simple is definitely a great key to lowering your stress and anxiety. So figure out for the next 6 months or even 3 months what your main goals are. Keep it simple. Examples, you want to teach your child to read. Let's say your child doesn't know how to read, or you want to teach your child, how to add, how to subtract. Pick those goals very simply and just focus on those goals. Many parents, what I find, they try and do too much from so many areas that the child ends up just being lost in the mix of it and doesn't end up learning anything very much. Same thing goes with when you are pressuring your child and pushing and frustrated. They're not going to learn. You're not going to learn in that environment either. So slowing it down, keeping it simple will help you and your child. And that way you won't waste time trying to teach a subject and then having to reteach it again. You will be teaching a subject calmly and with very obvious goals that you want in order to teach them effectively and have that goal be met. So if you're teaching my kid how to read, that goal is definitely achievable within 3 months. So if that is your goal, then set that goal and each day give yourself small little goals. So like a 15-minute exercise with your child of reading. For teaching your child how to read, I have a great book here that I've used with both of my children. Teach Your Child to Read in 100 Easy Lessons by Siegfried Engelman. I'm sorry for that horrible pronunciation on that. But this book I've used for both my children, and I've seen many parents use them, and it is great. It is just a phonetic way of teaching, and the entire book is laid out for you lesson per lesson, and it gives you a clear script of what you say, what your child is supposed to say. So for those of you looking for just a curriculum ready to go, this is the book for you. 100 lessons. You can do them in 100 days, or you can do them in 50 days and do 2 lessons a day. I wouldn't recommend starting off that way, but nearing the end, my children were so happy to complete this book and were excited to start reading regular books that they were doing 2 to 3 lessons near the end of it just to complete it. I also paired it with a reward at the end. So after they completed the book, they either had an hour of electronics or my daughter wanted a lollipop. So build it with a reinforcement as well on that goal, just to ensure maximum success. And number 3, break it down into 3 daily goals of what you want to do. So for the example of teaching your kids to read, that would be one part of one of my goals. My next goal would be something I want to teach my other child. And my third goal would be, what is my main focus for that day? So if I'm doing work, for example, on my YouTube channel, would it be advertising, making my thumbnails? If you're working outside of the home, meeting a client. If you are not even working and you're at home, cleaning your bedroom, doing the bathrooms. These are small goals that you can put every day, and working on them slowly helps you feel a whole lot more productive and organized, to help you be stress-free in such a horrible time that we are going through. So those are my 3 tips for just how to stay organized with your kids at home. Also, before we go on to one of our first questions that are on our live stream, is that my 2 organizers that I use. This is the Clever Fox Pro, and this is my teacher planner. I will have links for these as well in the description. I've also made a video of both of these and how I use them. They basically explain the goals that I've talked to you about here. In the Clever Fox Pro, it gives you, it actually lays it out for you very, very simply of how to plan your main overall goals. You can choose over a year, 6 months, 3 months, and then how to break it down into smaller goals. And then every day I pick 3 little goals, my priorities of what I want to do. It really has helped me stay organized and feel like I'm making progress every day. I find, especially since COVID has began, that staying at home every day kind of melts into another, and it's hard to differentiate between each days. I really lose track of days, and looking back as well, they all kind of blend. So having this, this is a life planner. It's not even just a regular planner. It's a life planner. Having this has really helped me go back and see progress each month. It allows me to go over and see what are my wins, what are my weaknesses, what did I learn best that week, what did I not learn best that week. So that I highly recommend. I do have an affiliate link for that, just to let you know. I do earn a small commission on just that link and this one. I'm very new to the affiliate marketing world. As you may know, this is my first live stream. So knowing that I may make a small compensation on that as well as this one, I have provided those links. If you don't want to click that link, no pressure to you. I only have that link because a friend of mine asked me to. So this one as well is a lesson planner that I use, and this is just for organizing my homeschooling and my kids. So this is my life planner of what I'm doing that day, what I plan to do with my kids, and this is what I'm planning to teach my kids. Exactly, I go through the subjects, and I don't really use it as planning. I more use this as recording what we have already done. I find a lot of times, or before when I first started homeschooling at the beginning, I spent a lot of time planning, and life changes. And I wasted a lot of that time planning because then I'd never do those plans. And my organizer just looked like scribbles everywhere, and they weren't, it wasn't clear what was happening. It just didn't make me feel good when I looked at it. It made me feel more lack of that I was not completing everything. So I changed it to being writing about what I have done and what we are working on and where we last left off. So every time I open up my planner, I see what we have done. The reason I do this is homeschooling and school are very different. School, as a teachers, need to have a plan because they have several kids that they're teaching. They need to have a plan in place to keep everybody on track. Homeschooling is not like that. Homeschooling, life changes, things pop up that you need to go address. A client may need you, or your spouse may need you to do something, or a child is sick and you are unable to do teaching, to teach your child, which is understandable. So being flexible and having something to just record what you have done helps you look back and stay on track as well, and avoids you feeling that lack of feeling that you don't have enough time, or that you haven't done everything and you have so much to do, and this overwhelming feeling that a lot of parents feel. This has just helped me deal with that. So 2 planners that I highly recommend. Check those out. Awesome, awesome. So let's start with our questions. So my first question that I have is from Angela. Angela, she says, "Hi, Liz." Hi, Angela. I just read your post about a video you will be doing on homeschooling. I am new and totally green. Haven't even started one purchase supply yet. No problem. I got you. No experience with homeschooling, laugh out loud, but with the kids not going back, and I doubt they will for at least 2 months, we are considering homeschooling for the remainder of the year. Yeah, you know what? Unfortunately, I'm going to have to agree with you on that. If you are in Ontario, like I am, I don't foresee the kids going back anytime soon, unfortunately. But that's a whole different topic. So good on you for proactively thinking ahead and preparing. Some of these questions I have is, how much roughly is the cost going to be? Is the initial investment worth it if only doing it for half a year? I'm not school smart, nor did I do well in school, especially math. I was there for the social aspect. Yeah, me too. In your experience, in your expertise, can someone that did not do well in school teach their kids? Short answer, yes, and I will explain that to you in just a moment. Best curriculum to be used, but for the ones that are only doing it until the end of the year, is there an inexpensive way? Is there a Christian curriculum available? Thank you, thank you. I'm lost and nervous. Any information would be fantastic, Angela. Well, first, Angela, let me thank you so much for your question. This is a really, really great question. Congratulations on even just thinking about homeschooling. It is a big decision, and it's a very scary decision for some. So you being at a very, very beginning, I would start looking at what type of style of homeschooler are you before even looking at curriculum. And like I've mentioned before, if you're here, to figure out what your family goals are and what your needs are before you even start thinking about homeschooling. Homeschooling is different for every family. My type of homeschooling is different from the next type of homeschooling family. Every family is different. We all have different needs. We all follow mostly different curriculums. It's the same type of information, just laid out differently to suit our needs better. So that is where I would start looking at homeschooling styles. If you stay tuned, I do have a slide that shows all the different types of homeschooling styles available to you, and I will explain briefly each one. So let's go on to your other question. How much is it going to cost? So it can cost from free to thousands of dollars. It really depends on what your budget is and what your goals are. So if you're doing this temporarily for now in hopes of doing it in the long term, start with free stuff. Start with simple worksheets. There are many resources online. Check out homeschooling groups on Facebook, homeschooling YouTube channels. Are really great, filled with information with curriculum reviews. But like I said, first figure out what type of style suits you best, and then look at the curriculum from there. Because if you just start looking at like math curriculums or English curriculums, there are so many curriculums, it is really easy to get overwhelmed. So my biggest suggestion is to first pick a style that suits you best, and then look at what curriculums are best in that style. So for example, there are Waldorf homeschoolers, there's Montessori school homeschoolers, there are free learning homeschoolers, there's lots of different types of homeschoolers. So once you find out sort of where you fit, then I would start looking into the curriculums. But it doesn't really have to cost you much. Worksheets for free. Online resources for free everywhere. Our government as well provides the curriculum online. If you are in Canada, I can also help you provide that link. I have a video where it provides you the links of the curriculums in the United States, UK, Australia, and in Canada. That will help you sort of figure out what are the guidelines and what can you do about homeschooling in your area. So I highly recommend checking that out. Let's see if, just to make sure I've answered all of your questions. Teachers pay teachers. Educational. Yeah, one thing that I wanted to show you, one moment. So there are these different types of curriculum books. There's this, the Complete Canadian Curriculum book. It's not a massive book. I believe it was maybe $20. Yeah, $19.95. So $20, and this is just a really quick review of the Canadian curriculum that is available. This was the grade 1 that I did with my son. You can find grade 2, grade 3, all the way up until, I'm not sure to be honest, but I've seen these for multiple grades. So this, I'd highly suggest looking into the Canadian curriculum ones. They do have specific ones. So this one here is an English Smart one. And then I have a Math Smart one. They have lots and lots of different ones. So if you're looking for something sort of generic, simple, and cheap, I would recommend these books here. If you're doing it temporarily or just to see if you like it, these books are great. If you are looking for something more long-term, I'm going to show you in just a second. I have this curriculum here. So just to show you, just to give you an idea, these 3 books, sorry, excuse me. These 3 books, this is going to be my science curriculum basically for until my kids go into university. So these 3 books, they were about $50 each. They are filled with information. This is my way of being frugal. I like to buy curriculums that have all the information because I do plan on homeschooling long term. I like to invest my money in curriculum that's going to last me a very long time that I can use between multiple children, and that it doesn't cost me an arm and a leg. Many curriculums that are more comprehensive than this have a lot more materials than this, and that just doesn't fit my style of homeschooling and my family's needs. So I like to buy curriculum that is complete in its entirety, and because I will be homeschooling long term, that suits for me. But if you're not yet prepared to doing a long term, I suggest looking for your grade, finding the homeschool style that works best for you, and then go from there. But I'll be honest, you can do this all for free. There are tons and tons of free resources. Look up those groups, like I said. Check out the YouTube channels for free. Lots of information. Other than having internet access and access to Netflix, YouTube, and the internet to learn, you don't need anything else, to be honest. We are in a technology age of information, and the information is all out there. So you just have to be a little bit frugal and a little bit crafty. So let's check if I've answered all that. Some of my questions, initial investment. So the investment depends. Best curriculum to use by the ones that are doing until the year's end. So I've covered that. Is there Christian curriculum available? Yes. So you can also look at Christian curriculum for grade and then fill in whatever grade that you need. Check it out on YouTube. There are many, many reviews. Many YouTubers are doing this, and that is a great way to sort of see the book, see that experience, and learn the pros and cons between all the different types of curriculums. I'll be honest, that's how I learned and chose my curriculum. I went through tons of reviews, tons of videos, but be patient. If you're doing this temporarily, don't overwhelm yourself. Make it simple. Get those Canadian bucks. If you're doing this long term, give yourself time to do the information. It took me a long time to really, really find what suits me and my children best. So I think that's it. Thank you, Angela, for your question. Good luck. I hope that helps. If you have any other questions, Angela, feel free to message me, leave a comment down below. I hope that has helped. Good luck and welcome to the homeschooling community, if that is what you choose, and stick with us. We are a great community and there's lots and lots of support. So reach out, don't be a stranger, and I hope you enjoy it. So next question from Becky. Hi, Liz. Hi, Becky. I hope you can help. I hope so too. We are at our wits' end. I have a daughter who just did her first semester of university and it was tough. I don't know. Congratulations on that. High five. That's awesome. I don't know where to turn as we keep getting told to go to the department, subject in brackets, or to the support group at the university. But number 1, they don't answer their phone. Number 2, they don't have an email address. Number 3, they don't know how to support online students. Number 4, they're only there for in-person support. Number 5, the people who can help won't, because she hasn't been officially diagnosed, and we aren't willing to put a label on her, as we could keep her from her career and she would like to pursue. My daughter is brilliant and has worked very hard. I feel her problem is she is slightly off of what they are teaching and looking for in assignments and goes way too deep. It has caused a flare-up in her anxiety and depression. Any tips for online learning for Asperger's teens would be tremendously helpful and appreciated. Thanks kindly, Becky. Well, firstly, Becky, thank you so much for your question, and congratulations to you and your daughter first semester of university, that's hard. And with Asperger's, that's even harder. Like that's amazing. Good job. So really, congratulations. That is a huge milestone that you and your daughter have reached. Good job. My best recommendation, my best professional and personal opinion, and you might not like to hear this, I know it's hard, but I'd like you to move past the fear of receiving that diagnosis. I understand the fear. I've worked with many families that did not want to get that diagnosis, did not want to have that label on them because of the same fear that they were afraid that that was going to hold them back later on. I completely understand that. I've experienced that myself. I've seen many people experience that. But what I'd like you to just imagine is that once that diagnosis comes into play, many resources are opened up and available to your daughter. She'll be able to get assistance in ways that people that don't have a diagnosis don't. So before I go on, let me tell you a little bit of a story of what happened to me. A couple of years ago, back in 2007, I had a workplace injury and I wasn't able to go to school. I was completing my last year of university. And I too was afraid of admitting that I was disabled at that time and that I needed help. So I went through that struggle of avoiding getting labeled the disability, but I was really holding myself back. And I was either facing not completing my psychology degree or and giving up all that hard work, or admitting that I had the disability and that I needed help. Well, the decision that I made was I went and I got help. I got labeled of having the disability and it was great. I received, so I wasn't able to physically go to class. I had to stay at home, and my lectures were actually notes from students that were particularly asked on purpose. They're students that actually take notes for students that need help. So I got those notes from those students, as well as I got an audio recording of the entire class. It was amazing. I was able to sit at home when it was convenient for me and go through the lessons each day and pause and review and write my notes and look at other people's notes. It was amazing. If it wasn't for that support that I had received by allowing myself to receive that diagnosis, I wouldn't have been able to complete my university degree. So the reason why I'm telling you that story is that I understand it's hard with that diagnosis. I don't know what field an education your daughter is going to be following later on, so I can't speak to if this will impact her career later on. But most chances it won't. Most chances the career and profession that she seeks later on won't know about her diagnosis unless she tells them herself. So even when I had graduated university and I went on to the workplace, unless I had told my workplace that what had happened, they had no idea. So it really didn't hold me back in any ways. And if anything, it really ensured that I was successful and that I was able to complete my university degree with success. So I know that may not be something that you want to hear, but that is my professional opinion of just because I have seen many clients that have gone through this, and I understand the fear. It is a very well-founded fear. I completely understand. Just look, I have some resources for you that I've set up. Try and reach out some help for these people and see if they can help explain to you what type of resources will be available once that diagnosis comes into play. I've seen many families go through this process, and as soon as they receive those resources, it's like a sigh of relief. It's like they've opened a window and all of a sudden everything becomes just a little bit easier. So give yourself that gift, give your daughter that gift. I highly recommend that. But again, I don't know what field of work your daughter is in. Let me show you really quick the resource I have for you. So I'm just going to screen share. And I have... Here we go. Okay, so here, oh, sorry, wrong one. Oh no, that's the right one, sorry. So here's the Autism Services resource that I've made for you or anybody that may need help with a child with special needs. Autism Services in Ontario, Autism Ontario, Developmental Services Ontario, Geneva Centre for Autism, Carey's Place, the Redpath Centre, Surrey Place Centre, and Woodview Mental Health and Autism Services. I recommend all of these. Erin O'Kids as well does some. This is not an extensive list. This is not all the resources that are available, but just some in Ontario. If you are in other parts of the world, like the United States, Autism Society of America, Online Asperger Syndrome Information and Support, so OASIS, Gray Center for Social Learning and Understanding, Aspies for Freedom, AFF, and the Autism National Community. These are all great resources in the United States and the resources in Ontario that you can reach out to and see if they can provide you some clarification in what type of resources, or even looking forward into the career. Will that really hold her back? Is that something that you really need to be afraid of, or can you just accept the diagnosis and get these services and watch your child really thrive? I highly suggest, highly recommend that. So I wish you, I hope that's answered your question. Let me just double check that that was your full question. Yes, okay. Awesome. So Becky, I hope that has helped. Thank you very much for your question. If you have any more, feel free to message me, email me before, and I'll try and provide you any resources that I can. So third question that we have, question from Jalisa. My apologies if I'm pronouncing that incorrectly. Hi, Liz, she says. Hi, Jalisa. What is a good writing curriculum for preschool? So a good writing curriculum for preschool, it really depends on what you mean by writing. Are you talking about writing the alphabet? Are you talking about learning how to spell? So your question is a little bit unclear of what you were looking for, but nonetheless, if you're looking for a curriculum on how to write the alphabet, I actually have a video that shows you from A to Z, uppercase and lowercase, how to teach your child every single letter. And I show you exactly how to teach each letter, how to start it. And then I also have a video that is about writing materials. So this video is showing you how the blackboard, paper, whiteboards are all different. Markers, pencils, they all have different qualities that you should be aware of when teaching your child, especially for those of you that are watching. If you're having difficulty teaching the pincer grip, or you're having any difficulty with transitioning your child from a marker to a pencil, check out that video. It's filled with lots of really great information and tips. Learning grammar, if that is the type of curriculum that you're looking for, I would check out YouTube. YouTube, I will show you in just a minute the different types of homeschooling styles, like I mentioned earlier, to help you sort of find a better curriculum that suits your needs. But YouTube, or just looking online, best curriculums for math, best curriculums for writing, whatever. Many people, many YouTubers, many bloggers have made many, many reviews, so take advantage of that. Reviews of what works, what doesn't on YouTube. The videos are great. You can really see inside of the book. I really recommend going on YouTube. And tips, sorry, one second. Okay, so I'm going to show you right now a homeschooling styles list. So like I mentioned earlier, when you're really trying to decide if you should homeschool, how you should homeschool, what curriculums you use, and what type of style of homeschooling you can use, I would recommend looking at this list. I'm going to show you in just a second. I'm going to screen share it for you. And there we go. List of homeschooling styles. Okay, so this list of homeschooling styles, as you can see, again, it's not extensive. These are a lot of different homeschooling styles, but there are many, many more that I'm sure no one has reported yet, and people are just doing their own thing. So this is just sort of just putting it into categories of how many different styles there are. So there's school at home, there's online public school, traditional homeschooling, road schooling, world schooling, unschooling, unit studies, eclectic homeschooling, multiple intelligences homeschooling. This one was very new for me when I was researching a couple of weeks back and making a video on the list of homeschooling styles. Multiple intelligences homeschooling blew my mind. I suggest looking into that one. That was great information. Classical homeschooling, Montessori homeschooling, Charlotte Mason homeschooling, Waldorf homeschooling, school at home, more formula, and relaxed. So these different types of homeschooling styles all have their own different types of curriculums within them. So if you were to pick, for example, unit studies, you can look up unit studies curriculum for grade 5 and go on YouTube, go on Google, and you'll find a list of resources. You can also go on on Facebook groups and ask other people. There are groups that are specifically for curriculum swaps as well that you can get advice on there and get curriculum for at a discounted price. So that is where I would recommend starting, is looking at these lists, finding out which one suits you, and then going from there and finding the curriculum. So for example, for myself, I am more of an eclectic homeschooler. I like to pick and choose curriculums from all these different types of homeschooling styles. So I've used Montessori homeschooling when the kids were young, Charlotte Mason homeschooling, Waldorf homeschooling. I do have a more relaxed form of homeschooling right now. I am more child-led learning where the kids learn, but I do have aspects where I do sit down at the table and teach just like they were at school. So being mindful that homeschooling is really however you want it to be, and you can really make it your own. Let me just double check my questions here. Jaleesa, I hope that's answered your question. It really is a preference of what is good for you. The curriculum that's a good writing curriculum that is good for me may not be the curriculum that is right for you. So again, go through those homeschooling styles, figure out which one is best for you, and then choose your curriculum from there. That would be my best recommendation. All right, so now I'd like to go into the comments section and see if there are any questions from anyone that I have missed. All right, so looks like that's everything for today. If you've liked this video and live stream, please make sure to like and subscribe at Teaching Kids with Liz. Thank you very much for watching and participating in my very first live stream. I hope I was able to answer all of your questions to your satisfaction and that you got tons of value from this. I appreciate all your questions and all your feedback. Please leave it in the comments or email them to me on Facebook or on YouTube. Either is fine. Thank you so much for participating. And if you know someone that would benefit from this information, please share this with them as well. And yeah, that's everything from me for now. I hope that you make it on next Sunday as well and join us. I'm going to be on every Sunday live streaming from 11 to 12 Eastern Standard Time. So same time, same place. I look forward to hanging out with you again. Ciao. Where is it? I can't find it. There we go.